Welcome back to the finale of What If Aayla Secura survived. Thank you to those of you who watched the first part of this video. To recap what happened in that part if you haven't seen it, Master Secura had stalled a meeting between the Jedi Council. Even though the delay had not stopped Anakin becoming Vader, she had managed to escape Felucia, and along with Windu and Padme, joined the other survivors on the journey to Alderaan. Now we find the rebellion beginning to spread. The lack of evidence behind the Jedi's assassination attempt on Palpatine had given the rebellion an initial popularity boost, but they still operated in the shadows. Nowhere had this been more apparent than on Alderaan, as Luke and Leia had been raised in total secrecy in the confines of the palace. Leia had not expressed the same initial desire as Luke to be trained in the Force, frequently following Bail Organa during his political duties, and watched Padme operating from undercover. This allowed the surviving Jedi Masters of Order 66 to focus solely on the training of Luke, and the initial traits of his impatient father had been driven out. The Jedi had been limited in the missions that they could do for the rebellion, but that would soon change upon a mission to Master Secura's old home planet of Ryloth. Cham Syndulla could not carry out his guerrilla strikes, alongside his free Ryloth movement, as the Empire had begun to close in. Together with Obi-Wan, the Twi'Lek Master had entered into the dust-covered planet and found the movement in an underground lair. Eager to free the imprisoned natives, the Jedi attempt to trap the Empire using a group of Ultra droids that Syndulla had kept in reserve. The plan is initially a success, as the surprise attack forces the Empire to retreat back off of the planet. But as they are about to leave, the Jedi sense a disturbance in the Force and look overhead as a Star Destroyer covers the planet. The organised movement enter into the dense jungle, using the knowledge of the terrain to their advantage, and any Imperials have been trapped or killed by the Jedi. But the Imperial troopers have been relentless, and matters have been made worse by the entrance of Darth Vader. The towering machine stomped across the dust, pulling down the trees that had covered the opposition, and the Jedi decided to step out. Vader had not been surprised to see them both, and taunted them for their failure to not see through Palpatine's plan. Obi-Wan calmly circled his old apprentice, remarking that he was still a slave, and Vader lashed out at the Jedi. Obi-Wan's formidable defences were still at their best, from frequent training with the other masters, and the Sith apprentice struggled to make an impact on his old master, even if Master Secura could not damage his own defences. As they appeared to be in a standoff, Syndulla's resistance arrived and provided cover fire for the Jedi, and they used their combined might to push Vader into a dust bowl, then left the planet. The Jedi reconvene on Alderaan and realise the inhabitants were no longer safe, so evacuate to Bail Organa's ship as Padme and Leia organise the escape. The Jedi decide to move to the planet of Dagobah, as it had been a location Yoda knew would help to shield their presence in the Force, and they continued with Luke's training. After his training had finished, the Jedi all head back to Ryloth, as Vader had only been recently rescued by the Imperial forces, surviving on only the pain of his defeat. As the rebels arrive in their array of starfighters, the Jedi jump onto the ground. Master Secura tries to carve through the Imperial forces, but Vader manages to fly out. The rebels pursue the Emperor's enforcer, not knowing that they'd been trapped by the Death Star, and the fleet defending its perimeter, and those that weren't shot down had been drawn in by the tractor beam. Before they docked, the stormtroopers fired at all of the ships, sending them bursting into flames, and only the agile Jedi can leap out. But as they hit the cold floor, they are all engulfed by Palpatine's lightning attack, and the Emperor's cold laughter echoed against the walls of the hangar. Vader folded his arms and merely looked on, as a medical droid attended to his wounds, until he felt something strange in the Force. An invisible ship had managed to breach the defences of the Imperial fleet and safely docked in the carnage, and out of it walked Padme, Leia and Master Secura. Palpatine looked incensed that he had been interrupted and asked Vader to eliminate the distraction, but as he looked at Padme and Leia, he froze. Palpatine ordered Vader to attack them again, and Vader reluctantly ignited his blade, as the Jedi could sense conflict through their pain. Master Secura did not hesitate in lunging at the former Jedi, and she promptly disarmed him, then sent him into a Station TIE Defender. Vader wheezed in pain, but staggered to his feet and looked as Luke continued to be under the torture of Palpatine with Obi-Wan. Palpatine stopped his attack, feeling the conflict from Vader, and turned to redirect the attack at his delicate suit, but all of the Jedi leapt to the roof of the hangar, then simultaneously slammed onto the floor, shaking the ground and sending the Sith off of their feet. Vader and Palpatine had not survived the mighty blast, and carrying the body of Vader back to their ship, they destroyed the Death Star from the inside, then returned to Ryloth. With the help of all of the Jedi, the Twi'leks had been freed from the torture and enslavement of the Empire, and the planet was one of many to be free again. That is it for What If Aayla Secura survived. If you enjoyed this What If, please like this video, turn on that notification bell, click that subscribe button on this channel, as well as on my other channel What If Films. And as always, leave a comment on what if you'd all like to see next, and how I can improve my videos. Thank you all very much for watching, and see you next time.